All right, number 86. When you think you have one person in spirit that you're connected with, but really you have two. That's the subject of today's video. As always, please like it, comment on it below, click the subscribe button. All those things help other people to see these videos. So I hate when this happens to me. It used to happen a lot, especially in the beginning, not so much anymore, but I still know really seasoned mediums who this happens to a lot. You'll be giving evidence and it feels like one person, it feels like it always does. And your recipient, your client, or your shadow is saying, I understand this for two people. And it just keeps feeling like one. I've noticed when this happens, either to me as a recipient, when someone's reading me, or when I'm doing mediumship for someone else, that it's not two random people, there's a similarity between them. So, and it's usually a similarity to each other, or the two people in spirit are similar to each other, or the relationship to the client is similar. So people reading me, for example, I have two friends, I have a lot of friends in spirit, but I have two men who are very similar to each other. And when someone starts describing them both, I always wait. I'm just like, okay, which one of you is it? And there's usually a delineating factor between the two of them that I can say, oh, it's you and not you. And then the similarity to relationship to me, someone was practicing on me very recently, like last week. I was in a practice circle, other mediums were reading me, and this woman said to the group, I have a Scottish man from Scotland. He's in a kilt, he's got a thick Scottish accent. And this was an American circle. So she said, let me just stop there. And no one could take it. I said, well, I definitely have one person from Scotland in spirit. And sure enough, and so the next thing she said, and that was my grandfather. So one of my grandfathers is from a little village in Scotland. My other grandfather's from a little village in Mexico. She said two things that were dead on about my Scottish grandfather. And then everything else she said was my Mexican grandfather. And that was really interesting because I could tell she didn't realize she had two different people, but they were both my grandfathers. So that's really interesting that the similarity of relationship comes through. I think that's really, really fascinating. So it's not going to be a long video. When this happens to me, when I'm reading for someone and I get two people and they tell me, well, I understand everything, but for two people. And especially if I bounce back and forth, they'll say, well, that's, one grandmother, but this is the other grandmother, or that's, whatever. I will try. So I'll do a really neat trick is to ask the person or the people you're talking to put something in my hand. And sometimes in your mind's eye, you'll actually see an object in your hand, but sometimes it's a scene. It's like one time I asked for put something in my hand and it was a compass, and that immediately made it clear to the person that I was talking to which person I was with, or made me go with one over another. But another time I said put something in my hand, it was a scene of skiing, which also was absolutely clear to the client. Here's it's this person, not that person. So and I actually wasn't sure if it was one person or the other, if I still had both, but I was just sticking with the one who understood either the compass or the skiing or whatever. So that's that. So when this happens to me, when I'm reading and someone says, I understand it for two people, even when I get something that's delineating between the two of them, like the compass or the skiing scene, or if they just say, if the person, my client can say, I understand this, this, and this for the one person, I will sort of intend my attention toward that group of data, or lean into, or just focus more on the things that they said yes for just one person. And then that helps me to sort of ignore the secondary person, or just not pay attention to their information while I'm getting more. That's the only thing that I found that works for me, is that put something in my hand trick. And also what the things they've said yes to for one person, I just sort of put my attention there and I wait for things to come. And it's a little bit slower, but it does delineate between the two people. The thing is, all the time, whether we're doing mediumship or not, there are always multiple people there. And I think when we turn on, so to speak, to start reading for someone, there's multiple people there, but one person is more clear than all of the many others, or one person's a little brighter, a little louder, a little more, they get our attention more. So I think there's always multiple people there. And so first of all, that this happens at all is amazing. And then getting two extremely similar people, I don't think it's that unusual. It's just kind of annoying. And I think people make a little bit too big of a deal about getting two people. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this. Next week, I keep talking about this first public dem I did that went so well in a theater. So maybe next week, I've gotten an update. maybe I'll have footage for that next week. If I don't, the subject will be other people's people in spirit. So not your own people in spirit, but I'm starting to form relationships with other people's people in spirit. And I know some of my fellow mediums have made relationships with my mom, for example, who they never knew. So that's an interesting thing. Anyway, that's next week's video. As always, like this one, comment on it, click the subscribe button. All those things help other people see these videos. And until then, thank you for watching this time, and see you next